Hey guys. Okay, this is about the 10th time I've keep getting out of frame. New setup. So anyways, I have a little needle book I made, and I took a class by Mrs.Cogs, and there are some cool little words in here that is from the class. And so I used an old quilt, and on the front of it I've put seam binding, applique, lace, cheesecloth, some trim, a doily, and this is all coffee dyed. We have an old button, and then we have a little pins and needles here, and then this little mannequin dress form. I found it in my stash. Someone gave it to me years ago, and then I've also done some stitching with some natural colored yarn. This is some embroidery thread, and I braided it and attached a little pair of scissor charm, and then the closure is just this string wrapped around the vintage button. And inside I have used felt, and it's 100% wool felt. I bought it a few years ago for some projects and did not finish those projects, so I decided to use the felt elsewhere, and so I put it in the book here. And I've this little quote here or saying is part of Mrs.Cogs digital download, and I've attached a pocket. There's an applique, some cheesecloth, and some paper under here. And then we have a little poem on this coffee dyed paper. It's about sewing. And then I've wound some jute string onto one of those little paper bobbins. And here we have seam binding that I've coffee dyed. And on this page here, we have a ruler that I have stamped onto some muslin, and then I stamped this spool top on this muslin here. A couple of appliques that I've coffee dyed, a bulb pin with a vintage mother of pearl button. And then over here, I've made a belly band with a little pocket, and there is brown embroidery floss, black embroidery floss, and then some seam binding that I've coffee dyed, and then another little poem that is says sewing box. And we have another little saying from the class. Here is a brown button, and then another little coffee dyed applique. And then on this page here, I've attached two little coffee dyed appliques. We have, these are vintage straight pins, these three here. We have a little charm that I've glued on here, another bulb pin with some safety pins, a vintage button sewn on at the top. And then here on the last page, I have some needles and some cheesecloth, applique that I've coffee dyed here, and then there's the other side of the stamped ruler. And then on the last page here, I've just attached a little picture to some of the felt. There is an applique and coffee dyed applique here, and then I've done some more stitching with the natural dyed yarn. And then here I have a little pin with the parallel scissor charm, and it has a resin rose attached. And here in the front pocket I have a button card. Again, it was a part of the digital download for the class, and there is 6 vintage buttons on this button card that I've coffee dyed. And then in the back is the junk journal, and there we go. And I've used some jute for closure. And this is very a grungy little book, and it's more just for reading the different little sayings and quotes. And it's made from coffee dyed paper, and I've wrapped it in cheesecloth here on the spine, and then there's some coffee dyed paper or fabric. Got a vintage button, some appliques, a little quote that says, "You call it empty nest, I call it new sewing room." And inside we have some more cheesecloth, some more fabric, and then a little fabric tie on the bulb pin, and a piece of lace, and this is all coffee dyed, and then a quote that says, "I meant to be good at the fabric store, I really did, but then I got out of my car and went in." Here we have another page with just a little snippet. This is coffee dyed, and I've attached it to a piece of fabric, and we have fabric, lace, book paper, and a little brad that I've rusted, and it gave it that green color on it. And it says, "My biggest fear is that when I die, my husband will sell my craft supplies for what I told him they cost." And on this page we have a little picture of a mother and daughter, and they're stitching. And it says, "When life gives you scraps, make a quilt," a rusted pin, and some cheesecloth. And then I've put a couple of strips of fabric, coffee dyed fabric here. We have cheesecloth, and then there's a little rusted heart right here, and then some lace and some trim. And it says, "I just don't want to look back and think I should have bought that fabric." And then here we have another one of those hearts, some cheesecloth, some lace, some fabric, some more cheesecloth, a little coffee dyed seam binding bow with a vintage button. "I sew because punching people is frowned upon." And this was an old napkin, that cloth napkin that I had coffee dyed, and I really like the trim around it, and then it has this cool little like needlework here, and so I just attached it for the center of this book, and I left the back page, this page here, blank, but on the front I put a coffee dyed piece of paper, and I hope that was in frame. There is 2 rusted safety pins, and over here I've put 3 small rusted safety pins, and just a little word that says pins. And then on this page here we have some more of the coffee dyed seam binding, a coffee dyed applique, cheesecloth, and book paper. And here we have some more fabric that I've coffee dyed, cheesecloth, book paper, and some more fabric here, a piece of lace, and we have an old rusty washer, and then another bulb pin. And here I've used some more of that napkin, attached some cheesecloth and a rusted pin, safety pin to it. And on the back I have added a book page, some fabric, coffee dyed fabric, cheesecloth, and then this rusted pin. I just took this fabric, glued it underneath this strip here, and just tied that rusted paper or rusted safety pin in. And then here on the back page, this is the only place housework comes before quilting is in the dictionary. And it's just cheesecloth, coffee dyed paper, and then on the back you have the cheesecloth with the coffee dyed fabric under that. And then I have this other little book. Now, this was the original book I made to go in the needle book. It wouldn't fit. And as you can see, it's pretty chunky, and I even actually took some pages out of this one. And it's just got some quotes in it, some coffee dyed, I used coffee dyed seam binding for the closure on this one. And then it's got several quotes throughout. And there's appliques, coffee dyed cheesecloth, pattern paper, vintage buttons, coffee dyed paper, just or ruffled coffee fabric, coffee dyed fabric. There's a little pocket here with a little applique, And then here's an older woman sewing. And then another page here that has some appliques on it with some coffee dyed paper. And then here we have a piece of that napkin, some more sayings, and some coffee dyed fabric, coffee dyed applique. And this here was part of the digital download that we got for the class. We have some vintage book paper that I've coffee dyed, old button applique, some more cheesecloth and fabric and sayings. And then here we have some cheesecloth, fabric, some more of the little napkin, and here we have a picture. This was part of the download we got for the class. And this is from the class as well, this pins and needles. There's some more fabric and coffee dyed book paper, and we have some vellum with some cheesecloth, another little saying, a vintage button, and it's just attached to some cheesecloth and some fabric and a piece of vellum. And this is from the class. And then here we have some book paper, cheesecloth, piece of lace, and then an applique. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And give me a thumbs up. Keep watching my channel. I haven't forgot about the giveaway. I am in the process of getting everything together for the giveaway. I want to have it all together before I do the giveaway so that I can get it in the mail as soon as the drawing is done and I'm contacted by the winner. So keep watching. This is Thursday afternoon. Have a great weekend, and God bless you all. Bye.